Episode 9, Guild of Valor. January 18th, 2026, Japan, Kawasaki. Silent and motionless, Ryu stands on the sidewalk next to the Miyamoto house, below an overcast sky. He stares intently at the door. Glancing up at the second-story window, Ryu blinks a few times when he realizes Daichi is staring down at him. His face shows no hint of light, void of any emotion. When Daichi moves away from his window, Ryu slowly moves to the porch and raises his hand to ring the bell, but stops himself. With a sigh, Ryu turns and sits down on the edge of the porch. A few moments later, Ryu turns when he hears the door and sees Daichi standing on the porch. He seems to be in some sort of daze and looks as though he hasn't slept in days. After closing the door behind him, Daichi sits down next to Ryu. No words are spoken for several minutes. Eventually, heavy raindrops start falling from the gloomy sky overhead.
Still having nightmares?
I don't think I'll ever sleep well again.
You will. Just give it time.
How'd you do it? Overcome this?
It wasn't easy, that's for sure.
I just don't get it. I only had the Dragon Heartblade for a couple of days, but you had it for almost an entire year. And beyond that, you were merged with the Blade in Alfheim for 3 months. Even though we both killed players in game, you...
Actually killed them in real life.
How? After everything you went through, how were you able to move on?
Ryu faces Daichi and places his hand on his shoulder.
Because I wasn't alone, Daichi. Amidst all the darkness of my past, I clung on to something lighter. Someone brighter.
Katsumi?
Love has the power to overcome even the darkest of shadows.
Are you saying I should get a girlfriend?
No, idiot. Love comes from all sorts of places. You just have to be open to it.
Ryu glances up at the rainy sky above.
Yeah, I suppose.
And it certainly doesn't hurt to have friends. And family there to back you up.
Right. I've been kind of ignoring my parents. I don't think they could have possibly understand what I'm going through.
They don't have to. Just let them be there for you.
Daichi nods but says nothing. He turns and faces out. The two boys sit in silence for a brief moment as they watch the pouring rain.
Does it really get better with time?
Yes. But how much time depends on you.
I just need to get that blasted blade out of my head.
That might not be too hard, considering I destroyed the Dragon Heartblade.
You did? Really?
That cursed blade is gone forever. It can no longer hurt anyone.
But I thought you were able to finally control it.
There's no way I could wield that blade again. Not after everything that's happened because of it. Our lives will be much better off without it.
Definitely couldn't agree with you more.
Another brief silence falls between them as they listen to the pounding rain before them.
What happens now?
Well, we'll all be waiting for you in ALO for whenever you're back on your virtual feet, so to speak. You'll always have a place in Radiant Valor.
A grateful smile appears on Daichi's face as he firmly clasps Ryu's hand in his.
Thanks, man.
With a curt nod and a smirk, Ryu dashes out into the pouring rain.
You want an umbrella?
Nah, I'm good. Feels great.
With a short laugh, Ryu continues sprinting down the drenched sidewalk as rain beats down on his head and clothes. February 24th, 2026, Alfheim, Imp Territory. Ryu, Katsumi, Saki, Mariko, and Akio fly over the shadowy mountains and valleys of Imp Territory in the starry night sky.
I think my wings have almost hit their limit.
We have been flying for quite some time.
There's a flat ledge over there.
Perfect. Let's go, team.
Radiant Valor lands on a ledge and each of them withdraws their wings.
We'll rest here for a bit. Once our wings are refreshed, we'll continue over the mountain range to the cave.
That, or Ryu could transform into a dragon and carry us to the cave.
That's right. As a dragon, Ryu could easily carry all of us over the mountains.
What? I'm not just some riding mount.
Still, it is a potential option for travel.
Not you too, Saki.
We could rest our wings while still making our way to the destination.
You forget that my wings are drained too.
Your fairy wings, maybe, but not your dragon wings. You don't have a flying time limit in that form, right?
That's... I mean...
Saki, Mariko, and Akio all stare at him expectantly.
Well, hey, transforming takes a lot of energy, you know?
Sounds like another excuse to me.
I know. We'll just have Katsumi ask him. Ryu can't say no to her.
Wide-eyed, Ryu glances over at Katsumi. Everyone stares at her in expectation.
I'm staying out of it. If Ryu doesn't want to, he shouldn't have to. Unless, of course, he gives in to peer pressure. I won't fight that battle for him.
Cat!
Please, Ryu. It's not that much farther to the cave.
No, I won't do it.
Come on, Hotshot. Quit whining and transform already.
Everyone turns to see Daichi standing on some higher rocks a short distance away. With a huge grin on his face, he glides over to them and lands across from Ryu.
It's Daichi.
Welcome back, Daichi. It's, certainly nice to have you back in Radiant Valor.
Oh, thanks, Saki.
Daichi turns back to Ryu and holds out his hands to him. Ryu looks down at it and then back up at Daichi.
How about it, Hotshot? Let's go to that cave.
Guess I have no choice, Jock.
Ryu turns and faces the others.
You all want a dragon? So be it.
Check it out. Ryu's blushing.
Oh, how cute.
Who knew dragons could blush?
With a small snort, Ryu rolls his eyes.
Alright, that's enough. Let's climb on and head to that cave.
Ryu lies down on his belly so the others can climb up his tail and position themselves on his scaly back. In the front, Katsumi sits at the base of Ryu's neck. Daichi sits at the end, behind Saki.
This isn't as comfortable as I thought it would be.
What did you expect? They're scales.
Well, I just...
At that moment, Ryu pushes off the ledge and surges upwards into the chilly night air. All of his friends give a slight cry of shock and hold tightly to one another as Ryu ascends rapidly. A wide smirk appears on Ryu's snout.
Woohoo! This is awesome! Go faster, Ryu!
Look how high up we are.
Saki starts to slide to the side, but Daichi grabs her and holds her tightly.
Oh, thank you, Daichi.
Anytime, Saki.
As they speed through the night winds, Katsumi wraps her arm around Ryu's neck and rests her head against his scales.
This is wonderful, Ryu.
Still smiling, Ryu glances back at Katsumi and the rest of his friends. He turns back to the front as tears well into his golden dragon eyes.
Who would I be without them?
March 2nd, 2026, Japan, Tokyo, high school. Nestled on the school bench, Ryu and Katsumi sit quietly as they watch the cherry blossoms drift downwards from the tall trees into the school courtyard.
I still can't believe we're graduating this year.
I know what you mean. These past few years have seemed like an eternity. And yet now, it feels like no time at all.
Did you finish that assignment about future careers and life goals?
No. I'm still not sure what I want to do with my life. What about you?
Well, I think I'd really like to be a writer.
Really? That's perfect. You'll be great at that.
I hope so. But more than anything, all I want is to be with you.
Ryu smiles and gently leans in to kiss Katsumi. As they finish, Ryu keeps his forehead pressed against hers as he stares down, deep in thought.
I'm thinking maybe I'd like to join the military.
Really? What brought that on?
Put simply, I just want to protect people.
Sounds to me like you just figured out your calling.
I guess so.
Oh, she's here.
Ryu follows Katsumi's gaze and sees Ayame standing on the edge of the courtyard. Ryu makes eye contact with her and smiles. Ryu and Katsumi stand as Ayame makes her way over to them.
Glad you made it, Ayame.
Yeah, well, I almost couldn't find it. Your school is so small compared to mine. Why'd you want to meet here anyway?
It's about time we showed you the real base of Radiant Valor. Come on, the others are waiting.
Ryu and Katsumi lead Ayame through the bright hallways of their school until they come to the activities. In the room, Mariko is sitting on the floor drawing in her sketchbook, while Akio sits on a stool and fiddles with his atmosphere visor. Saki sits sideways on the couch and her legs resting on Daichi's lap next to her. All of them look up when Katsumi, Ryu, and Ayame enter.
Look who we found wandering around outside.
As if, Dragon Boy.
Today marks Ayame's official induction into Radiant Valor.
We're glad to have you, Ayame.
It's always nice to have another female member.
Welcome to the greatest guild of all time.
Now I won't be the noob anymore.
Who are you calling a noob? I could take you in a fight any day.
Laughing, Ryu moves to the windowsill and sits down.
Yeah, you'll fit in just fine with us.
So, you guys just meet randomly in this activities room at your school?
We've been meeting here for as long as I can remember.
Let's just say this room is indefinitely reserved for our group.
Ayame furrows her eyebrows in confusion.
Saki and Akio's father is the president of the school.
Ah, makes sense. Quite the base you have here.
And to commemorate the addition of our 2 newest members, I thought I'd create a drawing of all of us in our Alfheim armor to put on the wall in here. I think it turned out pretty good, if I do say so myself.
Everyone gets up and crowds around as Mariko places her drawing in a frame and secures it on the wall. All of them take a step back to admire her work.
You've done it again, Mariko. It's wonderful.
Seriously, you've got amazing artist skills.
Well done, Mariko.
Wait, why are there 9 players in the drawing? Who are the other 2?
Oh, it's Kenji and Izumi.
What?
I wasn't entirely sure what they looked like, so I based their appearances on you and Daichi.
What made you want to add them to the picture?
Actually, it was Ryu's idea.
Ayame and Daichi turn to Ryu with stunned expressions.
It just seemed right. The way I figure it, we never would have met either of you if it wasn't for Kenji and Izumi.
Very true.
Without a word, Ayame walks over to Ryu and stares at him intently. Then she suddenly wraps her arms around him tightly.
Thank you.
Kenji and Izumi will always be a part of Radiant Valor.
As they release, Ayame quickly moves to one of the couches.
So, do you guys ever log on from here?
Not normally. This school is closed down at night when we typically play.
Even though Saki and I have a key to get in.
Daichi and Saki return to their spot on the couch as Ryu and Katsumi move to sit on the windowsill together. They watch their friends continue chatting amongst themselves.
You're so quiet, Ryu. What's wrong?
That's just it. Nothing's wrong. For the first time in a long time. And I feel like everything is as it should be.
You're right. All of this feels so right.
I don't think I've ever been this happy. Except maybe on the day of our first kiss.
Ryu wraps his arm around Katsumi and she rests her head on his shoulder.
I'll always love you, Kat.
And I to you, my radiant knight.
Ryu is about to kiss Katsumi but stops when he realizes all the others are staring at them. Blushing, Katsumi sits up with a tiny smile.
Whoa, PDA much?
You get used to it.
Ryu and Katsumi aren't nearly as bad as Daichi and Saki. They're all over each other.
Yo, what are... That's...
I can't help it that your sister's so adorable.
Daichi. Well, I guess since our fearless leader is temporarily out of commission, I'll lay out our plan for tonight's dungeon raid.
Finally, some action.
I heard this dungeon is full of rare jewels.
Sounds like a worthwhile raid.
With our team, I'm sure we'll clear this dungeon in no time.
As all of his friends continue discussing their raid plans for ALO, Ryu glances over at the framed drawings of their team.
All of us, Radiant Valor, we're so much more than merely a guild or a group of friends. We're a family.
The end.
This has been a Sword Art Online story, Radiant Valor 2, by Meghan Sly. Voice talents included Falicia Cunningham as narrator and ghost player, Alec Leonard as Ryu and Nightmare Ryu, Meghan Sly as Katsumi, Sharayah Bunce as Ayame and Mrs. Miyamoto, Mitch Geiken as Daichi, Mr. Nakano and ghost player, Abby Day as Saki, Mrs. Hamasaki, and Mrs. Kobayashi, Samara Ehlke as Mariko, Haruka, Mrs. Nakano and ghost player, and Dawson Ehlke as Akio, Mr. Miyamoto, Mr. Nakamura, Mr. Kobayashi, and ghost player. We hope you've enjoyed a Sword Art Online story, Radiant Valor 2. Thanks for listening.